So at the beginning of 2016 that I first started using Linux, and it was May 4th of this year, 2017, that I completely got rid of Windows for the first time. And ever since then, I have been solely running Linux, doing this channel, doing gaming, all that sort of things. No more Windows in my life. So I would say I have successfully switched to Linux, but should you switch to Linux? That's what we're going to talk about here today. And this is not going to be a super comprehensive thing. This is from the perspective of somebody who has not been a long-time Linux user, but I'd still like to give my own insight to this and from the perspective of a YouTuber and gamer. And hopefully I can help other people who might be thinking about switching, but have not fully committed yet, depending on certain things they might be hesitant about if they were to switch. So there's going to be two main things I'm going to go over. It's going to be if you are a gamer and if you are a content creator. I'm also going to touch a little bit on average everyday PC user. That's three things. Three. So we're going to get the average everyday PC user one out of the way first. So for say an older relative like your grandmother or somebody like that, or just somebody who doesn't use a computer all that often, like just uses it for web browsing or basic office work or whatever like that. That is the one situation I will give a confident yes, they would be perfectly fine using Linux, or if they've never really used a computer before, if you get them started on a Linux system, they would be fine. But that is the only situation I'll give a confident yes to, and really, in that situation, it's not really a good example to talk about in the first place, because for the average computer user, most of what they're going to be doing anyway is probably going to be through a web browser. So at that point, it's not even so much about the operating system. So while it is the one scenario that I would give a confident yes, they could use Linux to, it's not really about the operating system at that point, although really, maybe it shouldn't be in the first place. But anyway, we're going to move on now to if you are a gamer. Now, obviously, gaming on Linux, like PC gaming, Steam over the past couple of years has greatly helped bringing more and more games to Linux, but obviously Windows still has many more available, and that's probably going to be the situation for a long time. So if you're a PC gamer and most of the games that you play and you play them regularly are on Windows, no, you probably should not switch to Linux. You can dual boot, but there's sometimes issues with that. It's certainly possible, but not really the greatest idea. Or you can also have two separate computers if you want to do that, which I'm going to get more into that a little bit as we go into the content creator side of things, but there is an option there, certainly. Now, if you're a console gamer, but you still want to have a computer to do other stuff on the side, you could use Linux in that situation. But depending on what you would do with your computer, that kind of falls back under the everyday computer user category. So it's not really a great example there either. For my own example, I do, of course, still do PC gaming for what is available on Linux. I also have a console as well, a Nintendo Switch, and that's good enough for me for now. I'm not going to lie, there are several Windows games that I do miss from time to time, but using Linux is worth it for me for other reasons, so it is what it is. Anyway, from the perspective of content creators, this is going to be focused way more on the if you are a YouTuber or some other video sharing website similar to it, like vid.me or something else like that. Not so much on the upper professional level, although there are still options for that. We're going to be focusing more on the YouTuber side of things, so I don't want to call it low-level content creation, but obviously not super professional level. So we'll just say web content creator. Keep it kind of like that. YouTuber. We'll just say YouTuber. That's a lot simpler. I'm way overcomplicating this. So if you're just a YouTuber and you do gaming videos and stuff, Going back to what I was saying earlier about having, like, if you're a console gamer when you want to use your PC for other stuff, if you, like, just stream, then, yeah, you can just put Linux on your computer, just build it yourself, run Linux. OBS is available on Linux, works perfectly fine. That would be great if you're just a console gamer that wants to stream. Just run Linux. That's a perfect scenario for it. Now, moving on from just the streaming part of it, if you also do video editing and whatnot, that's where it gets a little bit more divisive. So obviously, the Adobe Creative Suite is not available on Linux. There are other options though, and I don't just mean the free and open source options like Kdenlive or OpenShot or things like that. There are two professional level applications that come to mind when we're talking about video work on Linux. There is Lightworks and DaVinci Resolve. So with Lightworks, I feel like compared to DaVinci Resolve, that has better, more wider spread, I don't know if I want to say adoption. We'll say compatibility, but really you can get DaVinci Resolve working on pretty much on most distros as well with a little bit of work. But so we'll start with Lightworks. It's probably lesser known than DaVinci Resolve as well, but it is a professional level video editor and it does work. The problem is, like, with the free, there's a free version and there's a pro version. Pro version, of course, is everything unlocked. The free version, you can only output up to 720p. So I don't think the frame rate's limited, though, just the resolution. But yes, it does have some limitations to it. It's also a little weird. It's kind of different from what you might be used to with other video editing software. So it takes some getting used to, but it is certainly functional. And then with DaVinci Resolve, it is free, and then there's the paid version that's about $300, but it is... I see a lot of praise going towards it lately, which is great. The thing is, with the Linux version of it, the only way to get audio out is through Blackmagic hardware. It will not use system sound on Linux, and as of right now, it seems that that's how it's going to stay for a while, which kind of sucks because DaVinci Resolve, from what little I have actually looked into of it myself, actually seems pretty nice. And it is also like the standard for color grading. So if things get even better on the Linux version of DaVinci Resolve, it could be a viable replacement to Adobe Premiere. Probably. I don't know that for sure though. But anyway, those are the proprietary, more professional level options. We do also have some free and open source options available for the, we'll say lower level YouTubers, even though I didn't want to say lower level earlier. I'm using it now. Deal with it. There are things like Kdenlive, which I would argue is much better than Windows Movie Maker. Granted, I've almost never really used Windows Movie Maker. I just know it's pretty basic for making sample movies and stuff. But yeah, Kdenlive is a very nice option. I can't really speak much for OpenShot or Shotcut or PTV or those other ones too much because I've mostly just used Kdenlive, but that's also always the one that I hear recommended the most, and it's one of the ones that has worked better for me. With some caveats, which I actually have a specific video kind of going into that, as I have it compared against Blender as far as render speeds. Which brings me to the final one I'm going to speak about a little bit here, Blender. Now, for the most part, Blender is a 3D modeling program, but what a lot of people don't know as well is that it also has a video sequence editor in it, which lets you use it as a nonlinear editing program. So it does work pretty well, and it has like a great amount of tools available for it. The problem with Blender as a video editor is the performance of it, because that aspect of Blender is not very well optimized for multiple core processors and does not really let you do like GPU acceleration on stuff like you might have with something such as Premiere or I think even Kdenlive. So that's the problem with Blender, is it does work. It has a lot of great tools there available to use. It's just the performance is a problem. And I'm not talking like rendering performance either. I just mean like actual playback performance, which you can use proxies to get around that, which does work decently enough. But considering that you can get around using proxies in a lot of other video editing software, it does kind of become a bit of an annoyance. So I will admit that professional level video editing on desktop Linux is not the greatest it could be, but there are still options. So I didn't really give an answer to this one, as with any answer you can give on if you should switch to Linux in the first place, it's really often going to be a maybe with a big asterisk next to it, because there's just so many caveats. But as rambly as this was, I hope it did help some people think about things with if they are already considering or looking into Linux and stuff. As for what distributions I would recommend for a first-time Linux user, so I would personally, I'm a little bit biased here, I do recommend Solus because things do tend to just work with it, and pretty much any software the average user would need is available up to date within the repositories, so that's pretty good. I also recommend standard Ubuntu. In fact, I am still currently running the Ubuntu 17.10 beta right now, and it's been fantastic so far. Like, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again, I still say that I am a Solus guy, but Canonical has been doing a fantastic job with Ubuntu 17.10. Like, I've been super impressed with it. So that's an option. There's also, of course, things like Linux Mint, maybe Elementary, but the top two that I would recommend personally right now would be either Solus or Ubuntu. But that's a much more debatable topic. Feel free to debate in the comments below, or just leave a dislike without saying anything, because people seem to like doing that. Anyway, that's going to be about it for this one. If you want to see more discussion-y type stuff like this, make sure to let me know. Till next time, this has been Axel. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.